and welcome back to Mr. Larry's Craft Show. Today's episode is for the birds, and I don't know what that expression means, but here we are. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode. If you found yourself experimenting at all with stained glass, let me see your work. You can follow me over on Instagram at Mr.Larrie, and now you can follow me on TikTok at Mr.Larrie as well. But I will not be dancing. Maybe a little dancing. I've been feeling inspired by the freshness of spring and the horde of baby mosquitoes on my porch. So today we'll be giving something back to the bird community because they've given so much to us. And maybe if I can get the geckos to work with the birds, then they can take on the bugs and I don't know. Today we'll be making an alluring abode for our avian allies using both pre-built and ready-to-build birdhouses. We'll also use a little bit of acrylic paint and some imagination. But first, let's set our wings to the sky and take a look at 3 things to help us with our project, starting with thing number 1. If you take a walk around a pretty neighborhood, you are likely to see a birdhouse or 2. A birdhouse, or bird box, or nest box is a human-made structure meant to house small birds and sometimes other small animals like squirrels and bats during the months when they nest. They are most often made of wood, but they can be made out of a lot of different materials, and they can take on just as many forms, depending on your personal style and what kind of bird you're trying to attract. The invention of birdhouses is credited to Charles Waterton, an eccentric 19th century British conservationalist. He wanted to encourage bird life and wildfowl to roost on his estate's nature reserve. He also enjoyed dressing up as a scarecrow and hiding in trees. Oh, and he used to pretend like he was a dog and bite the legs of his house guests. So, you know. Bird conservation! David Attenborough once described him as one of the first people anywhere to recognize not only that the natural world was of great importance, but that it needed protection as humanity made more and more demands on it. Which brings us to thing number 2. I've mentioned several videos back and probably several times that I love painting birds. Whenever I'm losing inspiration for a painting or I'm not sure where to go, I just slap a bird on it. It's a little bit more complex than that, but I'm definitely not alone in my avian appreciation. Centuries have shown the influence that birds have had on multiple cultures all around the world, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. Birds have been used in mythology, they've been included in economic uses like for food and for their feathers, and they're often seen as symbols of great artistic and philosophical importance. Birds have appeared in painting and sculpture since the dawn of mankind and have been immortalized in poetry, music, and the dramatic arts for just as long. For me, birds are a symbol of perseverance, continuity, and freedom. Birds can go literally anywhere. There's something mysterious and terrifying about it all, and also comforting. And if you want to encourage their feathered presence in your life at a safe distance for both you and them, then why not try giving them a special space to rest in your garden? Which brings us to thing number 3. Today I'll show you how I set up a basic birdhouse painting using a birdhouse model that you can really find at pretty much any store. These houses are inexpensive and full of possibility. Some birdhouses reflect the design of their people houses. Some of them are very elaborate and ornate with lots of things like crown molding and little picket fences. But there are also contemporary simplistic houses that have modern details and dazzling color. Perhaps your birdhouse is au naturel, showcasing an array of natural wood textures and colors. There really are few ways to mess up a birdhouse, and so for today we'll be using acrylic paint to help make ours stand out. So let's get started. We want to start by selecting a birdhouse, and typically you can find them in many different shapes and sizes and different detail levels, or you can start with a pre-built kit like this one, which we'll get to in just a moment. I'm also going to be using some small wooden detail pieces that I purchased separately. I also have some craft paint, some acrylic craft paint, which I don't typically use, but I'm excited to try. And then of course a small well to mix our paints in. Let's start with the ready-to-build birdhouse. This comes with paint, the various parts you need for the house, instructions, and some other pre-printed or pre-cut details that you can also use. But the basic shape of the house is really all I want to use from this kit. We'll use the glue that came with the box and insert it into the pre-drilled holes, and then this will give us a little bit more stability when we insert the other pieces of wood. Just make sure that your parts fit snugly, and then allow it to dry for at least a couple of hours. This is a very simple kit that's intended for children, but obviously you could find many more intricate and in-depth pieces that allow you to build really elaborate houses if you look in the right places. I usually prime any wood project like this with white acrylic paint so that my bright colors will show more intensely and it'll help seal the wooden project. From there, we select the colors that we'd like to use and where we'd like to use them and start painting. This craft paint goes on really smoothly and is really easy to work with. It washes up really easily as well. And of course you can mix these colors together if you want something even more unique, but you can see they come in a big variety of colors that are already pre-mixed for you, which really cuts down on the time and effort it takes to make a beautiful birdhouse. From here, this project is all about making decisions on where you'd like your color, which colors you'd like for those to be, and what kind of style you'd like your birdhouse to have. You've seen a lot of the work on this channel end up being really bright and rainbow colored, and this project is no different. We'll go for really bright, interesting, fun, vibrant colors for these birdhouses, and I'm actually going to try and do a little bit of color grading on these as well. This typically works really well with my artist acrylic paints, but I'm finding it to be a little more difficult with the craft acrylics. So I may need to revisit this again later, but for now the results are fine for me. You could make your birdhouse a solid color, you could choose a holiday color theme, you could make your birdhouses match your people houses, and you could do a lot of different things creatively just by selecting the colors that you use. Painting these birdhouses doesn't require a great deal of skill, and it's really just about experimenting with color combinations and adding embellishments where you see fit. This is our craft kit birdhouse, and I'm just going to attach some of this little picket fence that came with it, which I've painted white, and I think it's going to be just the perfect touch for this little house. And I'm feeling extra whimsical today, so I'm going to add these little yellow stars all over these houses just for a little extra fun. You can check your local craft store for small wooden pieces of all kinds. There are letter shapes, there are music notes, there are emojis, and pretty much every kind of little embellishment you can imagine. Not only is birdhouse painting a craft that you can enjoy with your family and friends for practically pennies, but it's also making a wonderful space for a potential new friend. And having a bird actually use a birdhouse that you painted or designed is one of the most rewarding experiences I can describe. It's kind of like having a cat play with an actual cat toy that isn't a cardboard box. Let me know if you have any visitors to your personalized houses, or maybe you've decided that your house is too beautiful and it's just going to sit inside on top of your fridge or something, which is a perfectly valid use for birdhouse as well. Birds can literally live wherever you want, so you don't have to worry about contributing to like bird homelessness or anything. It's fine, I promise. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope that you enjoyed our craft. What are we going to do next week? That's up to you. Let me know what you have in mind, what crafts you'd like to see, and what crafts you'd like to try. Leave your suggestions and comments below, and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button for notifications on new craft videos each week right here. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend ahead that will see you gliding on the wings of love. These are like the cutest houses ever. It's like a little neighborhood. It's precious. Here we are. I wonder if I could charge rent, because these are really cute, you know? Your birds will be living in luxury. I guess that's it then. Stay safe and stay crafty.